All right, so Mark chapter 15, verse 16. And the soldiers led him away into the hall, called Praetorium, and they called together the whole band. Okay, so the soldiers take him into this hall, this big meeting place, right? And they called the whole band, so the whole group of soldiers. He's getting all the soldiers together right here. The soldiers led Jesus into the hall, right? He called all the soldiers together. And then verse 17, and they clothed him with purple and plaited a crown of thorns and put it about his head. Right, so if you can picture the scene, so of the soldiers now, they're getting all the soldiers together so they can mock him. Right, so they clothed him in purple and put the crown of thorns on his head. You know, and they wanted everybody, all the soldiers were getting in on this. Okay. In verse 18, and began to salute him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Right, and see in the exclamation point. Right? So they're loud, determinate. They're making this mockery. Whew. It'll be them on Judgment Day. Greater damnation. Sure. In verse 19, and they smote him on the head with a reed, and did spit upon him, and bowing their knees, worshipped him. All right, so they're mocking him, they're spitting on him, right, just with a reed, you know, and they're spitting on him, and they're bowing down, pretending to worship him, like, you know, like this big mockery. In verse 20, and when they had mocked him, they took off the purple from him and put his own clothes on him and led him out to crucify him. So, yeah. Terrible. If they took off his clothes and put the purple clothes on, and they did this whole ceremony of mocking him, and then they took back the purple clothes and put his old clothes back on. Wow. So it's calculated what they did. It was like, and in verse 21, and they compel one Simon, the Cyrenian, who passed by, coming out of the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to bear his cross. Okay. Just setting the scene, like they're bringing him to crucify him, and so they say they compel one Simon the Cyrenian. So Simon is a different Simon. A lot of people named Simon, not Simon Peter. And his father of Alexander and Rufus. So they compelled him. So basically, they made him carry the cross, you know, for Jesus. In verse 22. And they bring him unto the place Golgotha, which is being interpreted the place of a skull. Okay. All right, so that's where they're leading him. They're bringing him to be crucified in this place called Golgotha. In 23, and they gave him to drink wine mingled with myrrh, but he received it not. Right, still mocking him, still trying to ridicule him. Terrible. In verse 24, and when they had crucified him, they parted his garments, casting lots upon them, what every man should take. Right, we talked about this before. You know, they would cast lots, like the gambling situation, to see who would get, you know, what clothing, right? in verse 25. And it was the third hour, and they crucified him. All right, so it's telling me on the third hour, that's when they crucified him.